Yeah, I just seen the Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that. I be seeing Jimmy talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King they was going do up. Jimmy they was like Marita Monero.
Really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them. Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love The Diplomat. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got
When 50 Cent logged onto Instagram this morning, fans thought it was just another day of trolling, jokes, and business flexes. But the minute he mentioned Jim Jones and Nas in the same sentence, the internet stopped cold. In a post that's already breaking the timeline, 50 went straight for the jugular, dragging Jim Jones for disrespecting Nas on Club Shay with Shannon Sharpe. "You can't talk down on a man who built the house you're still trying to rent," 50 wrote. Followed by a clip of Nas performing Made You Look with the caption, "Legends don't need validation." Within minutes, the post hit every gossip site, every blog, every fan page, and chaos erupted, apparently. Jim's recent appearance on Shannon Sharpe's show had already sparked controversy after he downplayed Nas' influence, calling his music dated and saying ain't nobody riding around listening to Illmatic no more. Fans were furious, but 50's response turned the backlash nuclear. "He really said that about Nas." One fan wrote, "50 about to cook him for weeks, okay?" And he did, going live later that night, laughing and saying Jim talkin' legacy like he ever had one. The comments were ruthless, the reposts endless, and within hours, it wasn't just about a debate anymore. It was war. 50 had inserted himself into a battle that had already been smoldering, and now it was fully ablaze. The rap world hadn't seen a clapback this savage in years, and this time, it was personal. The episode started quietly enough, Shannon Sharpe sitting across from Jim Jones, both smiling, laughing, and swapping stories about New York, hustling, and the game. But when Shannon brought up Nas, the energy shifted. It was subtle at first. Shannon had asked what Jim thought about hip-hop's legends still shaping the game, and Jim, without hesitation, leaned forward and said, "Look, no disrespect to Nas, but ain't nobody riding around listening to Illmatic in 2025. The new generation don't care about that." He chuckled, but the comment landed heavy. The studio crew laughed awkwardly. Shannon raised an eyebrow, half smiling, half wincing. Everyone knew he had just lit a fuse. Within minutes of the episode airing, clips started to hit social media. Twitter, or X as it's now called, went up in flames. "Jim really said that about Nas." One fan wrote, "This dude been chasing hits since Dipset broke up." Another posted, "Disrespecting Nas is like saying Jordan couldn't hoop in 2025. Stop it." Even hip-hop outlets picked it up immediately. The Club Shay channel flooded with comments, half defending Jim's right to opinion, half demanding an apology. But the internet being the internet, it didn't take long before 50 Cent entered the chat. At first, it was a rumor. Someone in a hip-hop forum claimed 50 was watching the interview live and already planning a response. Fans joked, 50 probably typing a caption right now. And they weren't wrong. Just hours later, 50 posted a clip of Nas performing Made You Look from a 2014 concert. His caption, "Legends don't need validation. Some of y'all talking about motion, but you still renting space in history." No tags, no names, but everyone knew who it was for. The comments exploded instantly. 50 really, said Jim, renting his spot. This about to get ugly. Then 50 doubled down. He posted a picture of Nas next to a black and white image of a young Jim Jones from the Dipset days. Captioned, "One made the blueprint, the other just walked past the construction site." The internet lost it. Memes poured in within minutes, side-by-side photos of Jim and Nas, comparisons of lyrics, career highlights. Fans dragged Jim mercilessly, quoting 50's captions like gospel. When 50 writes, the timeline listens. One fan said by the next morning, the story had gone nuclear. Every blog from the Shade Room to Complex had this same headline: 50 Cent blasts Jim Jones for disrespecting Nas on Club Shay. Screenshots of 50's posts were everywhere, accompanied by fiery commentary from fans and industry insiders alike. Even Shannon Sharpe reacted, tweeting, "Didn't expect that segment to turn into World War III." Meanwhile, Jim Jones tried to play it cool. He reposted a clip from his appearance on Club Shay with a laughing emoji and the caption, "Y'all sensitive. I said what I said." But his attempt to downplay it only made things worse. In the comments, fans flooded his page with Nas lyrics, laughing emojis, and references to 50's posts. "This not the fight you want," one wrote. Another commented, "50 destroys people for fun. Don't poke the bear." And just when everyone thought 50 had said enough, he went live. Sitting in a sleek black Rolls-Royce, wearing sunglasses and that trademark grin. He started laughing before he even spoke. "Jim talkin' like he know what timeless music sound like," he said, chuckling. "Bro, you ever made a record that people play 20 years later without irony? Nas been doing that since you was wearing pink bandanas." The comments section erupted. 50 was in rare form, part entertainer, part executioner. He laughed, sipped from a cup, and continued. "I get it though. Some people think staying relevant means yelling a lot online. Me, I like when the music speaks. And Nas, that man's catalog do all the talking." The clip was everywhere within minutes. Hip-hop fans knew this version of 50 sharp, charismatic, and completely unforgiving. Blogs began quoting his lines like scripture. "You can't talk down on a man who built the house you're still trying to rent." That sentence became the internet's new catchphrase. Within hours, people were making merch memes. And even AI remixes of 50's, quote, layered over Nas instrumentals. Jim Jones responded that evening with a short Instagram story, a photo of himself in the studio, captioned, "Can't out-talk me if you can't outwork me." But it didn't hit the same. The comments were flooded with Nas fans quoting ether lines. It was clear 50 had turned the internet tide completely against him, behind the scenes. Insiders claimed that 50 had more ammo. A few old interview clips of Jim throwing shade at other rappers resurfaced, suddenly shared by anonymous accounts that fans swore had 50's fingerprints all over them. It was the same playbook 50 had used for years: control the narrative, key, weaponize humor, and never lose composure. By day 2, even other rappers were weighing in. Fat Joe commented on one of 50's posts, writing, "Man, you stay undefeated online." Remy Ma reposted one of 50's clips with a laughing emoji and said, "He really don't miss." Meanwhile, Nas himself stayed silent, as he always did when drama swirled around his name. That silence, ironically, made him look even more untouchable. Fans flooded Nas's page with support. King never got a respond. The catalog speaks. When your discography older than people's careers. 50 wasn't finished, though. Later that night, he dropped a short video montage, old Nas performances mixed with clips of Jim from Love and Hip Hop. The background track? Many Men, the caption read, "Pray for him." That was all it took. Within an hour, the phrase "Pray for Jim" was trending on X. People were posting prayer memes, videos, and clips of 50 laughing. Some even started jokingly calling it digital assassination. Meanwhile, Shannon Sharpe, clearly enjoying the chaos, addressed it on his podcast. "Look, man," he said, chuckling. "Jim said what he said, but you can't just come for Nas like that. And 50. He, the wrong one to poke. You might win a fight, but you won't win the meme war." Even Shannon's co-host started laughing, saying, "50 don't fight fair. He fights viral." By the end of the week, it was official: Jim Jones had become the internet's newest punchline. Fans were remixing 50's quotes into fake diss tracks. AI edits of 50 narrating Nas lyrics, and even animated skits. One viral post summed it up perfectly. Jim picked the wrong week to disrespect a legend. 50 got Wi-Fi and free time. And just like that, What started as a casual interview turned into another chapter in 50 Cent's long legacy of public annihilations. Nas didn't say a word. Jim kept posting defiantly. But 50. He walked away laughing, richer in followers and reputation, proving once again that when it comes to war online or off, nobody plays the game like Knight. Curtis Jackson. By the time the sun came up the next morning, the internet was still buzzing from 50 Cent's demolition of Jim Jones. The man had done it again. One post, one quote, one perfectly timed jab. And suddenly the entire hip-hop world was watching him like it was 2003 all over again. Every major outlet had picked up the story. 50 Cent defends Nas. Destroys Jim Jones. Fifth turns Instagram into a battlefield again. Jim picked the wrong one. The comment sections were a war zone, but there was no denying it. 50 had won the first round before. Jim even knew he was in a fight. The clip of 50 laughing in the Rolls-Royce became a meme within hours. While fans and media continued to debate, Jim Jones stayed silent for almost 24 hours. For someone as vocal as him, that silence was unusual. It wasn't peace, it was calculation. Behind closed doors, sources said Jim was furious. He felt ambushed. He'd expected some backlash for his Club Shay comments, sure. But he hadn't expected one of hip-hop's most notorious figures to come swinging out of nowhere. It's always 51 of his friends told a gossip outlet. You can talk about anybody else and be fine, but the moment you say something that even smells like disrespect, 50 gone find you. When Jim finally spoke, he didn't apologize. He doubled down. He posted a clip from a recent performance in Miami. Crowd cheering as he shouted into the mic, "We outside, we ain't hiding behind no nostalgia." The caption read, "No hate, just facts. Legends gotta know when to pass the torch." The post racked up thousands of comments in minutes, but most weren't in his favor. "Pass the torch. Bro, Nas built the stadium." One fan replied, "You can't talk legacy when you're still chasing charts." 50, of course, saw it immediately, and within an hour, he responded. He posted a video of himself pretending to hold a torch and handing it to no one, laughing. The caption read, "Can't pass it if they never earned it." Then, in true 50 fashion, he added another slide, a clip of Jim performing a Dipset classic in a half-empty venue with the caption, "Crowd looked like it passed too." The internet erupted again. That's when the beef escalated from funny to ruthless. Jim went live later that night, pacing around his studio, clearly heated. "I owe 50. You been rich too long, bro," he said. "You forgot what the grind looked like. You sitting there talking like you the gatekeeper of rap. I built mine from the block, from the pavement. Nas, a legend. Yeah, but I'm talking about now. Ain't nobody trying to hear lectures about the 90s when it's 2025. He pointed at the camera and added, "You defending him like you scared to admit your time passed too?" Fans knew that was a mistake. The second Jim said that every hip-hop forum lit up. He really called out 50's relevance. "Oh, he's suicidal. Dude about to trend for all the wrong reasons." Within hours, 50 responded not with a post, but with a full 5-minute Instagram live session that felt more like a comedy roast than a clapback. He started by laughing, not the polite kind, but that deep, uncontrollable laugh he does when he knows he's about to say something that'll go viral. "Jim really out here talking about the block like he ain't 47 with bad knees," he said. "Bro, you ain't got motion, you got memories." He paused, shaking his head. "Talking about Nas like that? Man, that's crazy. You out here trying to rewrite history 'cause you ain't make enough of it." Then 50 got surgical. "You talking relevance, right? Okay, let's talk relevance. Nas dropped King's Disease and won a Grammy. What you dropped?" Another verse on a podcast intro. The crowd in his live chat went wild. Thousands of laughing emojis flooded the comments. "You want to talk now? Cool. But remember, some of us talk from the penthouse. You still talking from the lobby?" Clips of the live were instantly everywhere. The phrase, "you got memories," Not motion trended across Twitter and TikTok for 2 straight days. 50 had once again turned a single sentence into a cultural punchline. Even celebrities joined the conversation. Fat Joe tweeted, "50, don't argue. He assassinate." Charlemagne joked on The Breakfast Club. 50 got Jim trending, like he dropped a diss record and all he did was talk. Jim tried to hit back with humor, posting a photo of 50's vitamin water bottle and captioning it, "Still living off old deals, huh?" But even that was a misfire. 50 reposted it and replied, "Still more than your last advance." The clapback was instant and devastating. By now, everyone had picked sides. The fans who grew up in the golden era were squarely behind 50 and Nas, defending the purity of lyricism and history. The younger crowd defended Jim's hustle, saying the culture had to evolve. But even some of Jim's defenders admitted 50 was untouchable in the art of war. "He don't even need a beat," one user wrote. "He just talk and end careers." Mid the chaos, Nas finally made a quiet move. He posted an old photo of himself and 50 backstage at a concert from years ago. No caption, just to legends, smiling. That silence spoke louder than anything. Fans flooded the comments. "King co-signed the king. Can't beef with God's favorites." The post broke 1 million likes in less than an hour. For the first time, Jim went completely quiet. No posts, no lives, no responses. The man who once prided himself on energy and bravado suddenly went dark. Insiders claimed his team told him to stop feeding the fire. 50 was too unpredictable, too good at turning every word into ammunition. One source said, "It's not even about the music anymore. It's about narrative. And Fifth owns the narrative." Meanwhile, 50 wasn't done basking in the aftermath. He posted a photo of himself holding a cigar with a caption, "Lesson of the week. Know who you talking about." In another post, he added, "Respect is earned in silence, not shouted in interviews." Fans hailed it as Shakespearean trolling. 50 had turned his feud into performance art. But even with the memes, the jokes and the laughs, there was an underlying truth that resonated deeper. 50's defense of Nas wasn't just pettiness. It was about principle, about protecting the legacy of artists who had built hip-hop into what it was. To him, disrespecting Nas wasn't just a bad take. It was cultural blasphemy. And that's what made it all hit harder. Behind the humor was real reverence. When 50 said, "You can't talk down on a man who built the house you're still trying to rent," he wasn't just clowning Jim. He was reminding the culture who paved the road they were still walking on. It wasn't just a clapback. It was a message. And by that point, even Jim's fans couldn't deny it. 50 had turned what was supposed to be another viral soundbite into a full-blown cultural moment that put respect back on Nas's name. By the end of that week, hip-hop was officially divided into 2 camps. Those laughing with 50 Cent, and those quietly praying Jim Jones would just stop talking. What had started as a single interview with Shannon Sharpe had turned into a cultural circus. And 50 was sitting comfortably at the center of it, calm, confident, and completely in control. Every time Jim tried to respond, 50's followers found a way to twist it into another punchline. Every post, every clip, every live stream turned into a meme before the man could even blink. It wasn't just a beef anymore. It was performance art. And 50 was the maestro orchestrating every note. That Friday, 50 posted a new video, and it instantly broke the internet. The screen opened on an old Nas track playing softly in the background. The message? The camera panned slowly across 50's desk, covered in framed photos of Nas, Biggie, and Jay-Z. He looked into the camera with that sly grin and said, "Respect the architects. You can build your own house. But don't forget who designed the blueprints." Then he leaned back, exhaled smoke, and added, "Some of y'all forgot hip-hop wasn't invented in a meeting room." The caption read, "Protect the culture always." That clip hit different. It wasn't just trolling this time. It was reverence wrapped in attitude. A salute to the legends that built the foundation. The comments were flooded instantly. Fifth speaking facts. This why he different. Even rappers who rarely chimed in about beef were reposting it. Busta Rhymes commented, "Real recognize real." Fat Joe wrote, "This why he one of the smartest dudes in the game." The post went from funny to profound overnight, but Jim wasn't letting it go quietly. 2 days later, he dropped a freestyle on his YouTube channel titled Legacy versus Motion. The thumbnail alone said it all. A black and white photo of himself with the words "still relevant" scrawled across the bottom. In it, he took aim at both Nas and 50 directly. "You call it culture, I call it conversation. You stuck on the past, I'm the innovation," he rapped. Later, he added, "Fifth act like he God, but he been retired talking about houses when his foundation expired." Wasn't bad, in fact. It was some of Jim's sharpest writing in years, but the timing was wrong. People weren't interested in hearing him defend himself anymore. The narrative was set and 50 owned it. Within hours, reaction videos popped up across YouTube. Some praised Jim for fighting back, but most agreed he was outmatched. 50 already turned this into a cultural moment, one critic said. Jim's still playing defense while 50's writing essays on hip-hop philosophy. The general consensus was clear. Jim's bars were strong, but his energy felt desperate. It was like he was punching at smoke. 50 had already moved on to something bigger. Meanwhile, Nas finally broke his silence. At a charity gala in New York, a reporter asked about the whole situation. Nas laughed lightly, adjusting his suit. "Man, 50's always been like that," he said. "He gonna talk his talk. I appreciate the love, though. But look, hip-hop ain't supposed to be about tearing down the next man. It's supposed to be about building, about legacy, about speaking truth. Jim got his truth, I got mine. We all part of the same story." That one comment diffused more tension than any diss track could. Nas was above it, cool, composed, regal. His calm made 50's fire look like loyalty, and Jim's defensiveness looked like noise. 50 reposted the clip of Kea with the caption, "The king stays unbothered." Then, in true 50 fashion, he couldn't resist adding another post right after a meme of himself wearing a crown with the words, "The bodyguard of legacy." The internet lost it again that night. 50 went live one more time, and this one was different. The tone was softer, but the confidence was the same. "Listen," he said, leaning back in his chair. "I don't hate Jim. I just hate the idea that people think talking slick about legends makes them relevant. Nas is one of the greatest to ever do it. You can't erase that just because you got a new chain and some streams. Respect the people who made it possible for you to eat." He paused, letting the words breathe. "This ain't about clout. It's about legacy. You can't measure impact with numbers. You measure it with time." For a moment, even his harshest critics had to admit the man was right. This wasn't just another viral feud. It was a masterclass in how to own the narrative, protect your principles, and still entertain millions while doing it. 50 wasn't just clowning Jim anymore. He was educating a generation. Behind the scenes, Jim's camp began reaching out to media outlets to clarify his statements. He never meant disrespect to Nas, one representative said. He was just speaking from a generational perspective. But it was too late. The story had already written itself, Jim, as the loudmouth who disrespected a legend, and 50 as the enforcer who put him back in his place. The internet doesn't forgive, and it definitely doesn't forget. By the end of the month, 50 had turned the entire saga into content gold. He released a limited edition t-shirt through Gannett Apparel that read, "Respect the Architects," sold out in hours. He teased a short documentary series about hip-hop legacies on his production label, hinting that Nas would appear as a guest. Fans couldn't tell if he was serious or trolling, but either way, the buzz was unstoppable. Jim, meanwhile, began slowly distancing himself from the controversy. His interviews became more reserved, his captions less fiery. When asked about 50 in one podcast appearance, he sighed and said, "Man, I ain't beefing. I'm just focused on music. Let them legends have their flowers." It wasn't defeat, it was fatigue. The storm had passed, and even he knew it. Still, 50 couldn't resist one final post to close the chapter. A black background, white text, nothing else. Some of us talk history because we made it. Others talk relevance because they chasing it. The internet lit up one last time. Fans calling it the perfect mic drop. In the end, the feud didn't destroy Jim Jones, but it did remind the culture who held the crown when it came to commanding attention. 50 Cent had once again proven that his power wasn't in his fists or even his music. It was in his timing, his wit, and his ability to turn any moment into mythology. Nas never raised his voice, never posted a word, yet his legacy emerged stronger than ever. And Jim, he learned the hard way that some names carry too much weight to toy with, especially when the guardian of those names is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. The final irony. A week later, Illmatic streams skyrocketed by 400%. Old fans revisited, new fans discovered, and a whole generation was reminded that timeless music never fades. Whether 50 meant to or not, he had done the impossible. He'd made the world celebrate Nas again. And in that quiet victory, the lesson was simple. Relevance fades fast, but respect lasts forever. If 50's latest clapback reminded you why he's still one of hip-hop's sharpest minds, then you already know this was never just trolling. It was a lesson in respect. 50 didn't defend Nas out of ego. He did it out of loyalty to the culture that raised him. In a time when people chase clout over class, he reminded everyone that legends don't need validation, they define it. If this story hit you like it hit the fans, share it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like. And subscribe for more real hip-hop stories where legacy always wins over noise, and respect always outlives relevance.